All right, everyone, happy Tuesday, September 19th. I feel like it's been a whirlwind these last few days with the announcement the company had about the promotion to directorship. But on the calendar, I had talking about writing yourself a paycheck as well as completing your weekly accomplishment sheet. So part of the reason that you would want to promote yourself and increase your business activity would be to increase that cash flow into your account. So I feel like there's some really important things to cover here. So I'm going to go through a lot of information, do a little bit of screen sharing so we can look at a weekly accomplishment sheet, and then I'll unrecord, turn off the recording, and then we can do some question and answers to this information. So thank you for being on. Thank you for contributing to our unit's success. And thank you for wanting to build your business. So let's talk, excuse me, I'm drinking like 100 gallons of water, but it seems to still not be enough. So I'm going to talk a little bit about an amazing tracking tool that Mary Kay has in place for us called the Weekly Accomplishment Sheet or Weekly Summary Sheet. It is something that is out on your InTouch website, and it is there for a couple different reasons. And so I want to share with you right from the beginning what the purpose of those tracking sheets are, so that you know when you're at a point like, how do I record this, or what's the best way to document this, where it comes from. So first of all, those weekly accomplishment sheets are primarily for you. They were put in place, I think, as a tool, this is my belief, for you to be able to track your sales and business activity so you have a really clear picture of the money coming in, your investment of time, how to write yourself a paycheck, how to know how to budget for what to be able to reorder and restock your store, and also easy place to pull numbers for doing your tax forms in the winter, spring for the IRS. So when it comes to filling it out, it's really going back to kind of looking at, I think, first and foremost, that piece, being able to document your sales for tax purposes. So that being said, I'm going to just hit a couple of, I'm going to go to screen share, and let me find what I want right here. Here we go. And talk a little bit about, oh, this is always interesting because I'm up in the corner now. Talk a little bit about your weekly accomplishment sheet. So it is under business tools, weekly accomplishment. Now I have the joy of being able to see all of yours when you submit them to me. But here's your weekly tracking sheet. And there's a couple things I just want to point out in terms of logistics of filling them out and how everything kind of fits together. So week of is the first thing I want to point out, because it's a drop down to go back into the week that you've had the sales. Show last seminar year is going to take you back before the last week of our fiscal year. So how things get counted in our newsletter and in the fiscal year is what month that Saturday falls into. So for example, here, the week of 8/27 to 9/2 is going to show up in your newsletter recognition for September. So you're going to see, in this particular example, because the 30th is a Saturday, you're going to see 5 weeks worth of activity in the month of September. There isn't a simple way to do it, but when I pull up each accomplishment sheet, it would not be easy to split up, for example, August 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and then the first and second into a different month. So I just post it to the week that it is ending in. So that is the first thing. When it comes to tracking the perfect contest, you're going to have to do a tracking separate from this a little bit, because that is a calendar month. So it's super helpful to me if you also send in your figures, not just to the Madsen office to track your perfect 3, your perfect 6, your perfect 10, on and up, but also send it to me just to make sure that I have captured the right information for you. So you'll see this week, I had 2 personal website orders come through that I just left there. And so when you have an order come in on your website, or if you're entering your sales into the My Customers Plus app, you'll be able to populate that to your accomplishment sheet really easily. So if I just click add, it's going to go into showing up for this week's sales. So I can do that. I'm going to give a couple examples here because these two customers have kind of a unique example, but you can also edit them. So you see that you can edit, delete them. In terms of hours, so I'm just going to roll through what each of these columns mean really quickly. Then you'll be able to, I think everything will like kind of click a little bit. So Allison Delph had her birthday this month. So she got, I'm grabbing my calculator, she got 20% off her birthday this month too. So I got to make sure I account for that. Okay, so we're going to edit her because when you have your weekly accomplishment sheet, you're obviously not going to have a lot of this information in here. So she was a reorder. She came in through my website. I packaged up her order, spent a little bit of time sending an invoice out to her to pay for her order. So I'm going to put that I spent 0.25 hours on her order. So 15 minutes, which is a very generous maximum amount. She was a reorder, so she is not a face. I think of the guests as faces. Like if I am in front of someone, then I'm going to put her as a 1 there. She placed 1 order. She did not book. She did buy a miracle set. So that would be an addition there. And she got a birthday discount. So the amount that I collected, excluding the sales tax, was $101.60. Then I want to take the 20% of $127 and put it over here under $25.40 or under under product given away under that 20% in that column. Ooh, let's make my phone be quiet. Okay, so that's the money I collected. It was a website order. The sales tax was on the $127, and she lives in Minnesota, so she's a little bit higher sales tax rate, but her sales tax is $8.57. She wasn't a hostess, so there was no hostess gift, and I collected the sales tax on the full retail amount of what she purchased. So I'll update her. And there she goes into that column. Dion was a delivery. So I'm going to put 0.25 there. She did not have a discount, but she did have sales tax, which is $3.24. And she goes back down into the reorder column. All right, so that is a couple website orders that came through for me that I wanted to use as examples. Manual orders are going to be orders that you wrote out a sales ticket for and that you're going to enter in to your summary sheet. So a couple things on these manual orders that you're putting in that I want to point out. So date is the day of the sale. You can decide which way you're going to record them, whether it's the day of the sale or the date you collect money. So sometimes, now I've gotten paid for both Allison and Dion, but sometimes there's a little bit of a lag in reorders. I record mine when I sell the product and the product leaves. There's usually not too long a lag time, but I had 3 orders come in yesterday. Allison was one of them. The other 2 I'm waiting for the credit card payment on, but I still recorded them because I wanted to keep track of the product as it left. So date is the date of the sale. Hostess encompasses either the person who reordered the product, the person you had a facial with, the person you had an on the go with. It's entirely up to you how much detail you put in there because this is for you. But if you want to list their first and last name, that's going to give you the best picture. The amount of time invested in the order, in the sale, in the party goes in this column. Now here's something that I was specifically asked. So the number of guests, this includes every face that you're counting toward your power start, your perfect start, the perfect contest, including the hostess and anyone you put product on. Now, if you leave this blank, but you keep your party, skincare class, facial on the go, those are all person-to-person appointments, shows. So online, personal website, not face-to-face, PCP miscellaneous, not face-to-face. So when I get a summary sheet that says an on the go and there's a 1 there, I assume you had 1 face. If there's a 0 there, I still assume that because you put it under these person-to-person appointments. Number of new bookings. How many bookings from bookings did you get? How many skincare sets did you sell? And then the money collected. So let's talk a little bit about money collected, because I feel like that's a place that you definitely want to have a lot of clarity around. This is money collected, and it isn't money that you would include for yourself personally or for demo. Because when it comes to recording your sales figures to the IRS, you're not going to pay tax, like if you were to a point where you had a high enough profit level on product you sold yourself, because you didn't make a profit on that. So the product that I use in myself, product for demo, any giveaways, they go under here under product given away, right here. You can be your own best customer, absolutely, but those aren't sales where you're making a profit. So you still write yourself a check. So depending on how you run your business, I would encourage you to write a check from your personal account to your business account to cover the cost of your product at 50% wholesale plus the sales tax. So that money is coming back into your business account to restock. Sales tax is just that, based on the sales tax rate you've charged the customer. If you're using the customer delivery service, keep in mind Mary Kay is going to charge the sales tax at the rate of where you're having the product delivered. So I've made that adjustment now, just having customers in a bunch of different states. Wisconsin is 5.5%. It varies by county in Minnesota, from 6.5 to 6.75, 6.85. So that's something you can just Google to know the sales tax rate where you're shipping it. And if you ship it, Mary Kay figures it out for you using the customer delivery service. Hostess gifts, this is section 2. So this would be things that you give your hostess. We don't have a lot of those right now, but we do have the deluxe minis. Those could go in there. And then you have product dollars of giveaway. So this would be like the birthday discount, 75 for 35, the $40 discount, that type of thing. Now, when does non-recovered sales tax come into play? So this would be when you forget to charge sales tax on free product. That would be one place it happens for me. The second place is, let's say I offer someone a free lipstick for getting together with me. So the lipstick is $18. I don't charge her 99 cents if it's a product giveaway on that sale. So that 99 cents goes in that column. The $18 goes in product given away. So that's the breakdown of the column by column of the weekly accomplishment sheet. All right, I'm just trying to see if I have any other questions here. So what this allows you to do as you're filling it out is get a really clear idea of what amount goes into your reorder account, how to write yourself a paycheck. I talked a little bit about the tracking, and then you've got the center columns, which are going to represent the money that you're collecting to report on your IRS tax form. All right, I'm just going to use these couple examples because they're right here front and center. I'm creating a reorder account. So the product at retail that has left my store with these 2 orders is $127 and $59. So that's $186. What I suggest doing is from that retail amount, keeping a 10% cushion to cover expenses. Now, in this case, it's going to be $18.60. This is going to cover things like more supplies and samples, your mailer for the preferred customer program, and I also think that it will help to cover educational investment expenses. So I use that word kind of to cover meeting fees, retreats, seminar, all of those types of things. You can start to budget for them out of your sales. So I feel like when you are selling at a pretty large volume, that 10% is going to go way beyond just covering section 2 and just covering your preferred customer program. So that gives you a cushion for those travel expenses. Now, in this case, you'll want to put aside 50% to cover the cost of the product. So where this is super important to fill out and spend a little bit of time with is it's 50% of the retail amount, not 50% of the money you collected. So this was $186 in sales divided by 2, $93 is the amount of the 50% restock. So $93 goes to Mary Kay to replace the product I sold. Doesn't have to be exactly the same product, but for my inventory to stay at a consistent level, I want to have that 50% going back in there. So I have $93 going back into my Realtor account. I have $18.60 as my 10%, and my money collected was $160.60. So that gives me a $49 profit on the 2 reorders that took me 30 minutes max to do. So that is an example of how to write yourself a paycheck using this dynamic, and then also having the money to put back into your reorder account. Now, initially, I will tell you that I tracked every single sale this way, so I got really comfortable with what's 50%, what's the 10%, where is my money going, and where am I putting that money as it comes through my business account. It's easy to invest in things that may not be income producing. There's awesome things on Section 2 and MK Connections. And so it was for me having an awareness of where that money was going and what I was investing it in. So that is a little bit on restocking your account, writing a paycheck, and then having a really accurate number like, okay, this is the number I want to show for my money collected on my tax form. And just so that I don't get ahead of myself as we get to the end of the year, so probably like early December, I will once again contact my accountant, who is fabulous at training, and see if there's anything that's new. But he did create a really great tax tracking conference call for us to listen to. So I think our business from a accounting and bookkeeping standpoint is fairly simple because it's all cash basis, but it does take a little bit of time. So like balancing your checkbook and managing your personal finances, this takes a little bit of time each week. But a little bit of time each week is much more manageable than having a big chunk of catch-up weeks of time over the course of March or April to get your taxes done. So that is some tracking. Another couple questions that have come up. So you'll see across the top here is new team members. So working on Pearls of Sharing, working on sharing the opportunity, you can put all of that contact information in here. And you might be like, well, why am I going to add that in there? Well, it counts towards your Pearls, it counts towards your perfect contest, but it's a place you can go back to and look at, oh, here's people I've shared the information with. Did she join? What was her response? Here's all her contact information, and it passes it on to me. So I feel like it's a great way for us to work together hand in hand on adding new team members and to document this all in one place. Because I've had people that I'm sure have slipped through the cracks because I haven't always put all this information down. And here is a place to do that. That's easy to come back to. It's web-based. It's never going to disappear. You can always grab it at a different time. So tracking your sharing appointments can happen here as well. So I'm looking at my list. I think that's it. I mean, it is kind of a short and sweet. Hold on, I'm going to do, there, I'm back to full screen. It's much easier to see my whole face and talk to you than it is to have it be up in the little corner. So that is a little bit about tracking your money. Now, the last thing I'll share before we wrap up is most of us have invested in product on hand and put it in a place where we would want to pay ourselves back. So whether it's from your savings account, from a friend or family member, from a credit card, where does that money flow from? Well, that flows from your profits. And you have the option of deciding how quickly you pay that back, how you break it apart. I've had consultants who have put 100% of their profit back in because it was just the first priority to get that back to zero. I personally, when I started, did not have the luxury of doing that because I needed to balance things out. So I used a credit card to do my initial inventory order. And so I did a flat amount to that card each month. Some people do a percentage of their sales each week. So they might say, well, I'm going to take 20% of my sales and put it back toward paying down that initial investment. The great thing is, and I have been in other businesses, I've watched family members in other businesses, is oftentimes those businesses take years and years, sometimes 5 or 10 years to be able to write a profit, or it's all tied up in fixed assets so that they don't really have access until they sell that business to a cash flow. We do. I feel like we have an instant ATM machine that when you sell product, cash comes in and you have that ability to fill those orders and restock and just keep things moving. So deciding in a proactive way how you want to pay back that inventory, not like when the credit card bill comes, you're like, oh my gosh, how can I pay for this? You can write the checks. I often did that. I would write the checks, or if it was easier to do it with cash, and just put it in an envelope. And so then when I got that bill, that statement, I could just go ahead and send it off and not think about it again and just kind of keep running it week after week that way. So that's something else that I think is really important, so that you have that integrity in your business in terms of putting the money where it needs to be to restock, putting it towards that initial investment, and then being able to enjoy some profit from it. So there might be that paycheck you write to yourself right away too. So those are all of my thoughts around weekly accomplishment sheets. I am going to ask you to contact me individually if you have specific questions that we would go through on an individual basis for yourself, for your business and where you're at. So I'm going to hit the end record and see if anyone has any questions.